Hi, I wanted to talk about what happens after chemo stops working, or what happens with me after chemo stops working. So, I learned at the end of February that I'd stopped responding to what's called a third line treatment. First, when you have metastatic cancer, they give you a drug and hopefully it works. And for me, it worked and it was wonderful. And it gave me, 3 really, really fabulous months, which was great, or nearly 3. Then it stopped working. And then I tried another one, which is called a second line treatment. It has less chance of working and it bummed out. So it didn't work at all. And then I had a third line treatment, which has less chance of working and even shorter amount of time if it's effective. It wasn't effective at all. And so by the end of February, I was told that was it, really. And my PIC line, which is the thing they run drugs into, was taken out. And by then, I'd had all the weight fall off me. All my muscle stuff was dissolving, muscle mass. And, I had really bad ascites, which is where you accumulate a whole lot of protein and fluid in the abdominal cavity that's floating all of your bowel and your organs and shouldn't be there. And it's there in my case because I had breast cancer and it went to my liver and it's caused a problem with one of the veins that it goes to the liver, and so that fluid leaks out from that vein. And so every week after that, I was like, well, okay, what happens now? And what happens from there is, I was always obviously a palliative care patient because I was metastatic. This was not yet curable, and although you can find lots of waffle on the internet, 9,999 out of 10,000 metastatic cancer patients currently will die from their metastatic cancer. And, that's just the way it is. And so I'm not going to waste certainly my last weeks of life, of which the rough estimate, which can, is how long's a piece of string. And but the rough estimate, once all chemo has stopped working for someone like me with extensive liver metastases and a lot of spilled out protein requiring paracentesis on a weekly basis, which means they stick a big needle in you, go into your abdominal cavity whilst avoiding all your floating organs, hook you up to a tube and drain you, in my case, 4.5 litres a week of leaked fluid. So I had that, plus I've got the weight all falling off and a lot of, associated stuff like losing appetite and unable to eat large amounts and, smaller and smaller food and things like this. And so it's a real challenge in living those last weeks or months of life for me. But I guess I didn't know what was ahead. I thought, well, what's from here? There's nothing really particularly life extending from here. So what am I doing now? Oh, now I'm waiting for, this, I guess. I did a lot of adjustment. My husband Chris and I and my friends and our cats and the garden and everything was really amazingly transitioned. We cried our first weeks, we went on the roller coaster, and then we renamed sadness poignance. When it was really huge, we called it epic. And we tried to really not see these as wasted days or sad days or bad days. We saw them as amazing Titanic days, sometimes overwhelmingly Titanic days. And they became really just exceptionally romantic and bonding. And I had a living wake about 4 weeks after my diagnosis of metastatic. And, people with metastatic breast cancer can live a long time depending on where it's gone to and how extensive. And people with bone mets, for example, can live years and years, sometimes decades, or over a decade. So, it swings and roundabouts. I don't think I got the short straw. Extensive liver metastases is a bit more challenging because you need your liver to do all your basic functions. And it's a real blood-rich environment. It's just in the supermarket. So it's not a very long trip, especially if you have a lot of them and you can't get any operation because there's so many of them and they're all over the place. And of course, there's no such thing as a liver transplant for someone who has metastatic cancer throughout their liver because it's all through their blood and it just goes straight back there and so forth. Anyway, so I accepted my situation, and it was beautiful. I danced, I sang, I recorded music, I painted. I wrote a feature. I was in writing a feature-length animated film along with a colleague who I'd been working with for a year, and it has become something amazing and magical between the two of us, which is really wonderful. I saw which friends were able to really get on the same page with us and really understood that we were all about transition, and that the body was dying. It was just like a rusty old truck, and it was going to give up the ghost. It was going to give me up. It was going to give up the essence of me, the spirit of me, but that would not be lost. That was something that would live on in the world. It would live on in the people I loved, and in nature, and in the garden that I helped create, and in all my closest friends, and it would live on in their own world, and they would visit me, and I would be in their hearts. So I didn't feel that I was going to be erased or disappear. And so it was with that we reached this turnaround where I was no longer a treatable patient, in that sense. I mean, they couldn't extend my time anymore, and it would be what it would be as the body shut down. I mean, at first that was really full on and shocking. Getting the ability to, the PICC line out, man, they weren't going to take any more blood tests. Like, wow, shit, wow. And then I said, wow, that's really good. So I'm going swimming. So we went off to a really beautiful spa, and we kind of celebrated rather than commiserated. We cried, we loved, we laughed, and it was the whole bag of mixed lollies again, and it's beautiful. For me, it's been beautiful, and it doesn't mean there aren't physical things that I find overwhelming, to say the least, and those things nag at me and they poke at me and they give me drama, and I say, right, where's the music? I'm doing some movement. Right, where's the hot wheat bag? Can't handle this. And sometimes like, where's the painkillers? Oh, where is the stuff for neuropathic pain right now? Or, just, things like that. Where's my cat? I want a cat to lay on me now. Where's my nana blanket? I can't bear it. I need a nana blanket. I need a cuddle. I need love. And it didn't, I thought, oh, I'm going to get serious at some point. I'm going to be like, the dying woman. And I didn't. So we got our news of weeks, somewhere in that thing of about 8 to 12 weeks. We got that news at the end of Feb. It was very full on. I'd been doing chemo for 5 months. I was hoping to get to like 10 months or something. Something. I didn't want to be bottom of the class. But like usual, I was just not going to be top of the class in this one. But I was top in the class in attitude, and that was really good. So I came out of there, and I went to the spa, but also I came up with a referral, to the home-based palliative care people. First thing I thought was, people in my house. I'm autistic. Which part of this do you not understand? I fear medicalization. You are nurses. I do not. This is not my thing. And once I met them, I realized, oh, come on, get out of here. They're all right. They're just people, and they're trying to understand you. And yeah, they don't speak autismese, and it's okay. They're also not. Yeah, they're just chill people in an industry that is used to communicating with really diverse people, and which is really trying to get on the same page, and they're there to see how you're traveling and to support what's going on at the hospital. The oncologist has been really brilliant. When we turned the corner and okay, no more chemo, blah, blah, blah. He seemed really, he seemed very sad and rather serious. And, he really didn't want to deliver this very difficult news. And I couldn't help but laugh because come on, the writing was all over the wall. And it's like, well, how can you suddenly get sad and serious now? We've been having a really good time all this time. Nothing's changed except what has already been going on since the end of January. Since the beginning of January, which is my chemo hasn't been working, which is why I'm currently up shit street. However, shit street can be made, pretty reasonable to look at, and we made it really fabulous. I'm currently still meeting the writer for the animation online, and still working on that when I can, when I'm completely crashed out, when I can stay sitting up in a chair, when mostly in the morning, it's my best time, and go figure. And then around 11 o'clock, I'm there, I'm in this, I'm there, I'm in this, and then I'm there. And I don't know. I feel like sleeping. And I say, what are you doing? And the body says, I got to go and have a sleep. And the essence of me, the spirit of me, the personhood of me, excuse me, we're going to be having lunch very soon. Like, I need to have a sleep. And I say, well, maybe we should do a bit of movement right now and kind of try and wake you up. Take you outside, breath of fresh air. Please have a sleep first. And it's this negotiation, between body and personhood. And I used to be a big bossy who's like, body, you will get into line. Body, I am the boss. Body, I babysit you all your life. And you will listen to me, and I'm the boss. Well, that's kind of changing. Yeah, and cancer's in there. But cancer's just doing its thing. It's like the catalyst that is provoking this relationship between body and spirit. When I say spirit, I mean I'm a spiritual atheist. What does that mean? It means I don't believe in any sky fairies. I don't believe in any afterlife. I don't believe in, going to the other side or anything else. I believe that I do live on. I live on in everyone that I've ever affected and all the things that I've affected, like fairy dust. Same as I am made up of all of the fabulous fairy dust that impacted me and made me me. And I left that fairy dust well before I started dying. I've been doing that fairy dust thing all my life, and it doesn't end with death. It just becomes more poignant, more nostalgic, more sacred, and that's where I'm at as a spiritual atheist. I also believe, obviously, that we all die. We all have to separate from the body, and that is part of that cycle of life. That it's the quality, not the quantity. So I have many cousins on my mother's side who have had cancer 10 years younger than me, and so it was a different situation to, oh my God, why me? It's like, well, why not me? I am also a Taoist, which is all about the balance of things and the middle path, and it's also about take shit and make sculptures. So if you find yourself with a whole bunch of shit, make a sculpture out of it. You might as well be stuck in the shit. So you might as well turn it into something really interesting or constructive or whatever. And I am influenced by the basic Buddhist principles, not by the Buddhist religion, by the Buddhist principles. And I find those really grounding and a useful way to think about my life. So that's kind of where I was at. And what is this last week's like? I sleep. And then I eat a bit. And my stomach, which is shrinking because of the 4.5 litres each week. And it's going, I don't want very much food. And I go, but you're starving to death. You're looking like a skeleton girl. You're one of them cancer skeletons, And I go, yeah, but can you go easy on me? It's enough of the hard work now. Can we, get along here? I am trusty rusty. I'm like the old hold new, guaranteed to rust out in the field. Could we do a little separation here, a little negotiation? Yeah, we're going to turn into a cancer skeleton. Yeah, we're going to get more tired, it's going to be more fatigue, etc., etc. Yeah, you're going to get to a point where you can't stand those big chunky butt needles being stuck into your abdomen to drain half of you out onto the floor every week. And you're going to say, I'm too tired. I am a skeleton now. I know can do. You're going to say, hey, palliative care ward, can you please let me in because I've had enough of this procedure now and I'm happy to just go from 4.5 liters to 5.5 and 6.5 and go, I am really uncomfortable and I can't sit up and I can't breathe in between and I really need some help to do what palliative care does, which is make you comfortable and keep you comfortable. And I've said in videos before, I'm really lucky that I have, I think my original little piece of paper diagnosis in 2012 was severe to moderate mixed apnea. And later with the next specialist, it was discussed as a failed or an impaired respiratory drive, which is wonderful because it means that I don't breathe out. So we can stick as much air as we like into me and I'm not going to breathe the last back out, which is wonderful. But I have an advanced care plan that protects me. It says, and by the way, when I come in to get comfortable, do not use my machine on me and do not use any of your respiratory machines on me, for I am ready to try and wing it with and without that and handle the consequences. Thank you very much, sign here. And wonderfully and politely, I have the lucky advantage of living in a country that has advanced care plans and that I can get that signed off by a doctor at a time when, I'm only as mad as I ever was. So, and as sane as I ever was. So from here, I sleep most of the afternoon and I then get up and I have a little bit of movement again. Keeps my bowels working and keeps me peeing, which is immensely valuable. I wouldn't believe how valuable those things are. I still do them. And I try to get together on Skype with some people when I can do that. Sometimes from a hammock. I definitely cope best on my back. It's least energy and all that stuff. But every day is still, for me, is still beautiful. And I don't think, if you ask someone theoretically, how would you feel if you had this long to live? What would you do if you had this long to live? What would you do if you had this type of cancer, blah, blah, blah. Everything I would have said theoretically, when I've walked in the shoes of it, I can't say that I would have really said much of that holds water at the end of the day for me. I want to get out of here when I have 6 months to live. Probably would have said that before. I still believe in the dying with dignity policy. I still think it would be wonderful if people who are terminally ill and they have 6 months to live and they are really not physically, managing, or they've done their journey. They've done their journey with their family. They are, they're unable to enjoy those 6 months. I think that people should have a right to, to end their lives with dignity voluntarily, to do so. But of course we don't have that in Australia. And but would I say, as a person who got that 6 months, oh my God, that was a write-off. Wish I hadn't have done that. Get stuffed. I've really loved it. I had a great time. And the people and my kids and, everyone who came along with me on that ride really enjoyed it. I thought, wow, I don't want to be a burden, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was something quite sacred. It was magical, and people found it, I guess, a privilege to be along for the ride, to be involved with something that will affect all of them in some way throughout the rest of their lives as they get older than I ever got. And it gave them a bit of a different look at how how that might be done. So I wouldn't go and change that. I guess in the last weeks of my life, would I say now? I had really great cuddles today. I had really great talks. I enjoyed the food that I ate. I had a really lovely snuggle with the cat. I danced with a friend. A pal came over and chatted while I laid in a hammock. I had a good sleep, even though I might resent the fact that my body needs so much sleep and will just knock me out when it's ready. So I can't even say at this stage that I would like to, necessarily say that's it. They say in palliative care, you'll know. And I think that I'm kind of getting that. I'm understanding that. And they said that with, metastases to liver, you just get more and more tired. And I can see that. And, the weight drops off and you lose your appetite. And I can see that. And you become really weak. And I can see that. And probably this paracentesis will not get less. And once it gets more, I can say, I can't cope with this anymore. And I need to be made comfortable because this skinny little body that has no energy just can't do this procedure. Yeah. And I have that right. And what an awesome thing. What an awesome thing that we have these treatments and we have these choices and and we have these services, and that so many of these people have just been really awesome. I love the work they do. I love your work. I love your work. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So thanks for listening. Spread the fairy dust.